James Smith is an ordinary man, of an appearance so generic and unassuming it is possible to discern with absolute certainty his age, stature within society, nationality and personality with so much as a cursory glance. As expected, if you ask any of his co-workers or friends about who he is, they would all tell you about how certain and perfectly normal he is. It is best put by his good friend Paul Carsall. He never yells, shouts or argues. Never. No, his mama taught him right, walks heel first, crosses his T's and dots his I's, says his please and thank yous, and signs the cross after every yawn. The only thing he isn't good at is conversations. But under that, something lies obscured. Like a light flickering off and on, in the blink of an eye, some have seen a glimpse of something faint and undue. A somber look at a vacant part of the room, an oblique snarl, or unregulated bewilderment. James works at an unassuming office that does something entirely uninteresting and ordinary. But this carries over to the office proper. Grey walls and grey cubicles with grey paper and grey lights, this testament to the brutalist movement clearly inspired the rest of the city, or at least James's apartment, and the route he goes through to get to work. James is a perfect machine, getting up at 7 and leaving for work at 8:30, going the same route to work, leaving work at 5 exact, and is indoors for the rest of the day. This repeats ad nauseum, and he has not a thought about it. He hasn't thought about anything for years. James's thoughts lie deep in the recesses of his mind. He has been running on autopilot for years. In his youth, James was an academic marvel who was also considered a creative. But he thought that wasn't all he was, yes. He agreed that of himself being a great storyteller, but thought he was a great philosopher with ideas he saw as at the very least thought-provoking, but never voiced this simply because he was insecure and self-conscious that his thoughts simply felt right, because no one could ever critique them or help organize his ideas. It was a spiral of questions that no one could ever answer, but he tried anyway, despite his understanding that. James did it because of the pleasure and rush he used to feel when combining his philosophy and storytelling, creating fictional scenarios in his mind that encapsulated the idea he was pondering at the time. But this pleasure ran out, in fact. It stopped being pleasing. It was a compulsion whenever he would watch TV or take a walk, he would think, thinking until it hurt, thinking until it was all he could do. When even the clothes he wears are a point of thought, nothing is safe. Like a virus, it grew, and a tiny ember of what his consciousness had become could do nothing to stop it. Any spots in his eye would be his fantastical or destitute settings seeping into him. His subconscious repeated the things that felt the most familiar, making him repeat his daily routine without control. His consciousness now was just making stories of whatever he could remember, but slowly those memories turned into reflections of what his subconscious was doing, turning his stories into a repeating hellscape of that brutalist office and apartment. At this point, it is impossible to discern whether what he saw was the actual real world and whether it might be possible to regain control. But whatever was left of James's consciousness was broken and resigned to his fate.